go. What's going on, everybody? Danny Marang, Brandon Sprague, Jack Ramsays pregame show. Thank you all for coming in. Well, it's game day. The Portland Trailblazers 1-2 coming in on the season. Sprague, get us started, man. What are you excited for? What are you terrified of? What do you expect to have tonight? Because John Morant's coming in the building, and by the way, he's leading the league in scoring, and he has been absolutely dynamic on every level.
And by the way, he lost the game against the Lakers, which pissed him off. So I can't wait for him to want to open up everything against this defense. I do have to ask, because I feel bad when the 7:30 games happen. It sucks because I have to get to bed. But how did the post game go? Was that a therapy session for people? Was it okay, not great, but it's an off night, whatever? Like, what do you think the overall vibe leaned to post the Clipper game?
All of the above. So I'll be honest, I kind of bailed on the whole idea of like, let's break this game down when they got their ass kicked by 30.
Yeah.
Because there's just no point in doing that. There's nothing good to be found in basking in that for what it ended up being. I think I went for like 40 minutes, 41 minutes, something like that. Which again, I think it ended up being just more like therapeutic because I threw out a question or a little game, which was, hey, give me your best newspaper headline for tomorrow. And I think that served as a way for people to get really snarky, really sarcastic,
right.
And just throw it not unprecedented amount, but a significant amount of deserved shade. A lot of Schadenfreude going on, but I think that's kind of what it was. And you know what? I've kind of nipped at the Blazers broadcasting, not Kevin and Lamar, but like the product itself over the years being a little too homeristic over the years, as you can't say anything bad. When they basically just rolled to blowing up the whale on the beach, just the timing of that was flawless. That was great. I loved that. I love that they leaned into the fact that they were just they got throttled, man. And that's what that's what that ended up being, was just, let's just relax.
Well, yeah, no doubt. I mean, it was ugly. It was interesting because when I talked about it on the radio show the next day, like the amount of people just, I'm done. Like I was a little surprised because we're 3 games in, and again, not a great look. I understand it, but that's going to happen from time to time in this league. I don't think they're 30 points worse than the Clippers. That just was off night paired with team that was super desperate. I don't think it's a shot. I think sometimes there's ebb and flows for teams depending on who's in charge. The Blazers are a bit homery on the call. I don't think that's a negative. I still love the analysis Lamar gives us. Yeah. I love to hear Casey's pipes. You don't hear a lot of negativity. I'm with you on the whale exploding. That was good, but it's not like, you know, back in the day, you'd get like Rice and Barrett, and there'd be some nights you're like, oh boy, what are we doing? You don't really get that as much.
There's only one broadcast that I see out there anymore that's just outright just like lying through their teeth messaging, and that's the Denver Nuggets in-house broadcast. And that's,
well, yeah, they also performed like a rap song last year that was maybe the worst content idea I've ever seen in my life.
I hate using this word, but it was entirely cringy.
It was super cringy. It was 50-year-old white guys trying to do awful raps to mediocre beats. It was the definition of cringy. What strikes me today? Let's get to today's game. Let's not reflect on the 3-point loss.
Yeah, no, because like I said, we burned that game tape.
This team, Memphis, is one of my top 4 favorite teams to watch in the league. And by the way, you are going against a nightmare of a matchup with a team offensively that has scored 120, 132, and 118 in a loss. Mm-hmm. This is going to be...
It's the number 1 offense in the league, Sprague.
It's going to be thank you for saying that. I didn't know that's where they ranked right now. But It's going to be a bigger challenge tonight than it was against the Clippers when they played them defensively. And I really want to see, you know, Chauncey came out and he said point blank, it's embarrassing. You know, you alluded to your interview with Nas, which I highly suggest, if you haven't heard it yet, go check it out. It's good stuff. You alluded to him being held accountable, them being held accountable. Okay, great. I like to hear that. Tonight is the night you see the response, right? Tonight is the night you see how guys respond to what Chauncey Billups is saying.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the interesting thing, right? Is I've seen some people like, I'm really glad that Chauncey's doing this. Terry never did that. Number one, that's a lie.
That is a lie. That's a point blank lie.
Flat out lie.
Yeah. Terry called people out.
And this is the thing. If you want to lift up Chauncey while knocking down Terry, you don't have to make stuff up. You don't. And it's just, I've seen that line a couple times. I'm really excited because Chauncey's holding guys accountable. I literally heard it out of Terry's lips from me to across the room one night after they got waxed, when he said it was embarrassing. The effort was unacceptable. Like, word for word, verbatim. It's when you get throttled, I don't care if you're Tom Thibodeau or the quietest church mouse of a coach in the NBA. You're going to call it embarrassing. You're going to call out the effort. That's the bare minimum you're going to do. Now, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in tonight's game because I will say that the first 3 games, the Blazers have not played well. And I know that rubs people, they won by 30 against the Suns. And I think, not necessarily this is about me being right, but I think game 1 and game 3 are a little bit more indicative of what they've been. They just, in game 2, they hit shots.
And Phoenix was ice cold. I mean, Phoenix was ice cold to start that game. If we're being honest, they were. They just were missing a lot of shots.
And I mean, to make it worse, if the Clippers hit a normal amount of threes, Portland loses by 50. I mean, Paul George was 6 of 16. They didn't really hit a ton of threes. Like, they just, it wasn't good. So really the only way to go is up if you're going to see anything improving. So in that regard, I'm looking at this team tonight. You've got Ja, who's leading the NBA in scoring. He's at 35. You know what? Actually, here I've got his splits here. Oh, where did
he's shooting? So Ja is averaging right now 35 points,
8 and 4.7.
8 and
Here it is. There's his splits. I knew I prepared one. 35 points per game, 8 assists, 3.7 rebounds, shooting 58 from the field, 44 from 3, and 81 from the free throw line. Jeez. Remember all those times we told ourselves if LeBron James or Russell Westbrook or whatever, these just uber explosive, terrifying downhill athletes ever found a jump shot, how terrifying they would be as players?
That's Ja Morant.
That's Ja Morant right now. It's like, Ja found a jumper, and it's like, oh no, what
Happy
do you do?
Learned to putt.
It's exactly what it is, and it's terrifying.
Yeah,
I've been a Ja Morant guy since his time in college when he was putting up triple doubles in college. He's fun to watch. He's the only player in college history and major college history to average 20 and 10. Think about that for a second. Average 20 points a game in college, which is not easy to do. But not only that, he averaged 10 assists, which at bare minimum is another 20 points. So Ja Morant was responsible for getting a mid-major team at least 40 points a game.
Yeah.
He's special.
Yep.
This Portland defense, not so much.
Not as special, no.
So here's your test for Portland tonight. And in talking to Nassir Little, he did not say it, but I think it was implied when talking about, if you guys want to go watch the video, please do after the show. You'll have plenty of time. As always, Nas is one of the best interviews you can get on the team because he's pretty blunt with stuff, but he's also very good at taking a very complex subject and breaking it down into little bites that you can digest easily. He's just naturally good at it in that case. But the thing that he emphasized with the defense is they have to be significantly better at the point of attack. He can't do what he needs to do. Nurk can't do what he needs to do if Dame and CJ don't get their act together. That's fundamentally what it comes down to. And even more so tonight, because as good as Ja Morant is, and he is right now the best player in the NBA through 3 games, he has been the most productive, most unreal player in the league. That can change tonight. But that remains for the first 3 games. He has been that dude. If you're Portland, what do you do with that, Sprague?
Well, look, I think the reality of things is it's nice to hear that, Dame and CJ need to be better. Like, it's nice to hear teammates say that. It's probably nice to hear if you're in practice. I think the difficult thing is until I see it for 10 straight games, I'm not investing that that's ever happening. And that's, Chauncey's going to do what Chauncey can do to get through to them. I think he's going to quickly learn if he hasn't already. Like, those dudes just are not interested in putting as much effort on that end of the floor because of what they need to do on the other end of the floor. So it really kind of boils down to 2 things. One, how are your rotations and help defense? And 2, is the other guy going to have an off night? Because if John Morant's not going to go out there and drop 30 to 35, which is his average, then you're going to need somebody else on Memphis to step up. And that could be Jaren Jackson, right? He's a difficult matchup because he can go inside and out. Desmond Bane is not a guy that's a
there
household
you go.
name,
That's where I was going to go next.
Desmond Bane is an underrated player that if you don't know, you're going to learn tonight. They've got Melton, Adams is a seasoned vet. Like they've got Brandon Clark is decent off the bench. Like they have guys that are good.
They're short one dude, realistically.
One dude. And it's a good dude to be short if you're an opposing team, but it's still only one dude and they have guys to fill that void. So my overall point is I don't think that you're going to get defense from Dame and CJ. I've moved on from that. How is everything else going to break down? Will your rotations be crisp? Will a guy not shoot his normal percentage? If that happens tonight and Ja's sub 30, Portland can get a win. This is a real opportunity. If Ja's going to cook how he's been cooking, this can be a real tough ask, and you're not going to win. I can't see you winning. If Ja is cooking, I can't see them winning if Dame's going to keep playing like he is.
So we'll get on Dame, which we've kind of talked or danced around a little bit because of all of the other stuff that kind of comes along with it. But here's the thing. Even if Ja doesn't cook, let's say Ja cools down a little bit, what's making this Grizzlies team very good offensively is that with Dillon Brooks out, for all you Duck fans in there, this has probably been the best thing for the Grizzlies because DeAnthony Melton and Desmond Bane are getting on the floor.
Yep.
And those two guys, in my opinion, are both significantly better than Brooks. Brooks is a valuable,
significantly better.
Yes, and that's not me being the anti-Duck guy. It trust me, I get it. This does not help my case because I've bagged on him a ton, and Melton is a USC guy.
Right.
But all of the high tier metrics look at DeAnthony Melton and say that he is a winning player. That just
he's on fire right now from three, shooting 58%, Danny.
And he's 6'3" with a 7-foot wingspan, I believe is what it is. Yeah. Pterodactyl like, but defensively, think like pocket-sized Tayshaun Prince is the kind of impact he has. He's just everywhere. He is an absolute stalwart on the ball. He's a monster on deflections. And Desmond Bane plays like his name. He is a truck. He is strong.
Dude, he is yoked.
He is. If you guys have not seen Desmond Bane play yet, this is a team beyond. Outside of Donovan Mitchell, Ja is my favorite non-Blazer in the league right now. I just love watching him. Desmond Bane is skyrocketing up that list of guys that you're like, oh, this guy's fun. He's strong, he's aggressive, he's athletic, and he's got game.
He's smart, too. He fits in really well with what they're doing.
And that's the thing is, I think they're better off long-term getting these guys burn. If Brooks is their sixth man or not their focal point offensively, like dial his offense back and get these guys out there more for their offense ability, because I think that they have the capacity to be better defenders overall than Brooks. Not as versatile because neither one of them has the size of Brooks, but their offensive games are more consistent and more valuable. And that's where Portland's going to struggle tonight because, yes, you have to worry about Ja and Jaren in the pick and roll, but the two guys in between that in Bane and Melton have been fantastic for the Grizzlies. And we have gotten this far and we have not said a word about Steven Adams, who is a consistently great player.
He is. I mean, he had a bad series against Dame in OKC a couple years ago, but and I think most of the listeners know this, Steven Adams that's a dude you want on your team.
Yes,
I really
100%.
do believe that. He's limited offensively, but you don't pick him up for offense. No. You pick him up for other qualities that he brings to your team.
You pick him up to destroy people with screens, be an absolute monster in the paint, set your tone of your franchise, of their physicality and their commitment. And he does all those things. He checks all those boxes. But the Portland Trailblazers, they've got to figure it out. Defense or not. Sprague, where do you let me phrase this.
Yeah.
Which teams do you think are playing the fastest in the league right now?
Oh, the fastest. Chicago's got to be in that, right?
They're up there.
They've got to be up there. I would assume this Memphis bunch is in there. Kind of looking at the league right now. Charlotte's probably up there.
They're up there. Yeah.
Is Atlanta up there?
Middle of the pack.
No.
Middle of the pack.
Golden State.
Right there, actually, with the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies and Hawks are actually tied.
Okay.
I say all of this, Brandon. You know why?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious.
The Blazers are playing with the fastest pace in the league through 3 games.
Uh-oh, Danny. They're running.
They're running.
I wouldn't have guessed that though.
No. And you know why? Because a lot of that pace adjustment comes from an entire quarter of basketball in both the Suns and the Clippers games played by guys under 23 years old.
Well, yeah.
Blowouts either way, so they're running. I'm serious. I looked at that and I was like, that's the most deceptive ass stat I have seen in a long time, because there is a whole half of basketball that has been played by end of bench guys running up and down the floor.
Can I tell you right now, I'm actually really jacked for tonight's game. It's a Wednesday night basketball game.
And
I'll have the World
in.
Series on. I'm locked in. Like, I just got cable. I don't have to bootleg this stuff anymore. I got cable installed. Like, we are good to go, baby. But let me just say, I'm excited for tonight because, one, again, I do love to watch Memphis play. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you're a basketball fan and you don't. 2, this is the 4th game of the season, and we're already in gut check time. Like, if you lose tonight at home against a young team that's clearly up and coming and clearly coming for a playoff spot this year, like to get above the 8 to 7 seed, like they want to be a 6-5.
They want to be locked in. They'll play in nonsense.
They are going to bust their ass this year. This is great for Portland. Like, this is a real good opportunity to kind of figure out a little mental makeup, to say, all right, we're 1-2. One game got way out of hand for us. The other one went in our favor and got way out of hand. The Kings game was a tale of 2 halves, almost. Like, who are we? Yeah. And I think tonight is a good barometer of maybe understanding or figuring out roles and where you kind of fit, and just where your big picture landing spot could be in the West. Because I think this Memphis team, if they stay healthy, knock on wood, and I want to see that happen.
Yes.
They are going to be right there with, 4 through 10. They're going to be in that sweet spot with you. And so I think this is great. I think if you're Chauncey Billups, you're almost licking your chops tonight when you walk into the Moda Center, because this team's going to bring it, and we have to bring it. Like, it's time to stop talking about this and start doing it, because, man, I don't know how you feel. If this team keeps sliding, if they fall to 1-3, I worry like this. I don't know how long the fan base is going to hold on. I really don't.
So a couple of things. One, on the lighthearted side, Daniel Schaumburg says Brandon the Bootlegger Sprague, which I feel like we have to get that sponsored by a beer company somehow, some way. I feel like that's got to be a thing.
That's a great nickname.
And listen, the Bootlegger, that's pretty good. You got to stay away from the bootlicker, but I mean,
hey, you like to act like you're cheaper than me, and I'm literally pirating Blazer games, so I think we know the answer.
But I want to hit on that point before you're talking about before we get to love it, like it, leave it, is the idea of where fans are, and we are stuck in this world where you and I are in social media and media in general, but there's a world beyond that, which is the general Blazers fan, which I've sensed some uneasiness. And you and I have talked about this a ton. The whole, hey, we're going to give it 20 games. Hey, we're going to give it 20 games. But the problem is that as I take a step back, and not for us and how we've discussed it, but the general fan has given this 6 years. This core is still mainly the same. The 3 pillars are the same. Dame, CJ, Nurk. Dame, CJ, Nurk. Different window dressing. Right. And I think that's where the frustration is boiling up. It's not impatience with Chauncey, it's impatience with Neil.
Oh, yeah, I don't think any of this is Chauncey. Like, they could have an awful year and don't make the playoffs. And look, people have opinions of Chauncey, but overall, like, even if I don't think he's the greatest of coaches, I'm not walking away from this season one way or the other going, Chauncey, Chauncey, Chauncey. I will be looking in the general manager's direction yet again going, seen enough yet? Like, I golfed today with a guy that was anywhere between 60 to maybe 70, right? He was a really nice guy. He says he watches the show, so shout out to Bob if he's watching.
Appreciate you, Bob.
And Bob brought them up. And we were talking about it a little bit, and I was just like, it's the same story for me. If they do something different, cool. But, like, they largely keep running this back. And Bob goes, yeah, I've seen this before. I know. And I think Bob's not alone in that feeling. So I do think this is such a pivotal year, not only for the Dame stuff, but people do want to see, like, if you're going to keep selling me on this, give me a different result. Give me a different feeling with it.
And I think that's kind of something that's overhanging. I feel like that's overhanging the franchise even more than the Dame stuff, which is kind of weird. But let's kind of shift focus back to this game tonight. Love it, like it, leave it. What do you got for us tonight, Sprague?
Okay. Leave it. I'm going to start with Jusuf Nurkic. Now, hold on.
No. We're on the same page. We're both going to land on the same one on leave it, baby.
Nurkic. I don't care if somebody sends this to your cell phone and you quote tweet it and say, hey, look at this no-name radio loser. It sucks and he's awful. Like, do that. Feel free to do that. Buddy, leave the crappy play in the past. Can we move forward? Can we get past the I need the ball ego? Can you please just adopt the mentality of I need to be two things for this team? No, three. I need to be a great defender. I need to lock down the rebounds. And I need to set menacing screens that make guards almost wince when they see my body show up. Like, that's your role. And until we see anything different to prove otherwise, can we just go into the game and give me that? I'm so tired of this.
Give me the three pillars to build off of.
Brother, I'm so tired of this. Me, I need me. It's woe is me. And nobody gives me a shot. Like, it's a tired act. And if you're not going to do those other three things I named, man, you can go out of town. So Nurkic, leave the bad play and lock in, big guy. We know you're capable of doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to join you in this chorus. I'm going to say leave the heavy feet at home. One of the things that I said following that Clipper game, as far as the breakdown aspects of it, is it was coincidental that they were in Los Angeles because they were rolling out the red carpet defensively. Dame and CJ were turnstiles at the top, and Jusuf Nurkic was the usher walking them to the rim. Yeah. And it was bad. And it wasn't like, oh, they can clear up some things here. They're just getting used. No, they didn't give a damn on top of the scheme. That was the issue. It's one thing to fall short scheme-wise. I'm not going to say, whether it's Terry, whether it's Chauncey, I don't care. Mistakes happen. We had Nassir again on the show, and one of the things that I talked about on that show that I've thrown on Twitter, it's a clip where Nassir made a bit of an overplay mistake. And one of the points of emphasis that he talked about was he helped inside early on a sidelines out of bounds play because he thought he was going to have to help on a drive. Guess why he thought he needed help on a drive, Brandon? Because the point of attack was going to die and Nurk was going to turn his feet and not be able to keep up. And so he's inside already. They run a pin down action. PG pops up, gets what ends up being a decent look, but he drops it down to a floating Zubac on the dive. He travels, but if he makes a clean catch, it's a dunk. But all of that is because inside Naz's head, preemptively, he's thinking, these guys aren't going to cut it. I'm the weak side help. I've got to be there. So I have to leave the best player on their team to preemptively help and hopefully we figure out the rotations to stop him.
Can I ask?
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry about that.
No, go.
So missing the post game, I just want to ask you very quickly, and I think this kind of applies to tonight with what we both are saying about Nurkic. Maybe I misread this. Did he look tired to you? Like he played like somebody that was exhausted. Like when you get the ball swiped out of your hands a million times, when you're late on helping, when you're Olaying defense or an Isaiah Hartenstein, when Isaiah Hartenstein's out playing you, like I can't help but rush to the conclusion or the opinion that you're exhausted. And I don't know if I'm the only one that kind of felt like that watching him play, or maybe you felt that way too. But there was a bit of that for me. I'm like, he's playing like he's exhausted, and I guess I don't understand why. We're 3 games into this thing.
I felt like it wasn't just him, and this isn't to excuse it, but it felt like everybody had a Nobu hangover. Whole lot of rice, whole lot of sushi sitting in the belly.
I like that it's Nobu and not any of the beautiful clubs and women.
Listen, I'm trying to be nice here, okay? I mean, this isn't Evan Turner's birthday in Miami situation, but there were some heavy feet out there. I will say that the kids moved okay. Nas and Ant both looked okay. I thought Larry and poor Cody Zeller is not going to make it to the All-Star break. That man has been maimed, dismembered, and busted open twice this season.
But we know that, right? Like we knew coming in, he was only going to play X amount of games. And if that comes later or now, like we kind of prepare for that.
I mean, poor guy, just broken nose and a busted shin already, getting stitched up. I don't want to beat the Nurkic horse too much because he has been a bit of a whipping boy, and rightfully so to an extent. But he doesn't get the same passes as Dame because he's not Damian Lillard. That's how this goes. Sorry, unfortunate Yusuf Nurkic fans. That's the pecking order. That's the BS, as they say, rolls downhill, and Nurk's at the bottom of that hill when you're talking about those three guys. What's your love it? What's your like it?
My like it, actually, I don't know if this is going to surprise you. I'm going with, I like Larry Nance tonight.
Hey, there we go.
I feel like Larry Nance coming off the bench is finally going to have a game where we go, I felt like Larry Nance played. Because, we talked with your boy Justin. We talked about that pickup when they made that trade. And look, it's not saying any of it was wrong, but I think Blazer fan had heard a lot of kind of that sentiment of what he brings to the team.
He got gassed up.
And yeah, he got gassed up a little bit, and he hasn't quite lived up to the billing. I think tonight is going to be a good game for him. Why? I don't particularly know. I think maybe he fits well with the second unit. I mean, he fits well against Memphis's second unit, and it's a really good opportunity for him to make an impact. You get the Modus in a crowd behind you. They're going to go crazy if he's making, those gym rat-like plays where he's diving for balls or tipping a rebound to himself. Like, I feel like I like Larry Nance tonight to finally come through and have a decently good game for what we were expecting him to bring.
I am on board with that. I definitely want to see them feature him a little bit more at that second unit. Not necessarily take the ball out of Ant's hands, because I think he's done a pretty damn good job through 3 games.
Yeah, right.
But I want to see more DHO, more dribble penetration from him working off Anfernee. I want to see that kind of pairing blossom, because I think over the course of the season, that's going to be Portland's really potent bench attack, not just because of how good Ant is offensively, but if you're going to start pressing Ant and trapping him or blitzing him or putting additional pressure, playing more aggressively, well, then that puts Larry Nance Jr. in that 4-on-3 situation, which we want to see him in. And so I want to start building those reps now. I'm going to go with Damian Lillard. And I like this matchup because of all of the gas poured on by Ja Morant and a budding rivalry between the young and the old. Dame has gotten the better of Ja in damn near every matchup they've had. This is very reminiscent of Chris Paul and Dame.
I was just gonna say it's a Chris Paul Dame thing.
It's a
veteran
torch
knowing and a rookie learning.
Yep,
yeah.
And it's a torch passing thing. And early on in his career, Dame had a couple games, but Portland got waxed, or Portland had a good game and Dame got handled by Chris Paul. And you've seen some of that so far in these matchups between Dame and Ja. And the Grizzlies, Brandon, they stayed over in Los Angeles. They didn't come up to Portland early. So
they had some Nobu too.
But also Ja spent some time at the 4-letter at ESPN, making some NBA TV appearance, or excuse me, some what's the new show now with Malik? I can't remember. They rebranded The Jump with a different name.
The Jump 2.0.
Yeah,
what is it called? NBA Today? I don't remember
something
what it
like
is.
that.
Yeah.
But Ja was on there, and he was talking about how much he looks forward to facing Dame. And I don't love this because Dame hasn't had a game yet, and I do believe there's a little bit of a physical ailment there. He does not look the same. He doesn't look nearly as explosive.
So he's okay. Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
He said, I saw this from Heiken. I think after a practice he was asked, and he says that he thinks he's playing well. He's making the right decisions. He's just missing shots. Now I know you could say, well, Sprague, he's not gonna say that his abdomen's strained or something, but you're not buying that. You're buying that there's probably something looming that we just haven't been told about.
He plays through a ton.
Yeah.
He has played through a ton his whole career. He's leaving shots a foot left, a foot right. He doesn't miss shots like that.
He airballed one, and then the other one was barely tipped, but he was going to miss that shot really badly.
And he's had a couple where they're skewed off. I haven't seen the crazy explosion. I was like, well, he tried to dunk on him, and then I was like, go back and watch that clip. It doesn't matter if he's there. He's not dunking that ball if the defender's not there. He was short. And
Is it the Olympics thing?
I think it's a bit of a hangover from not getting the rest, from him getting older, from the same ab issue he kind of deals with. And he'll play through it and all that kind of stuff. But tonight I like him getting on track a little bit by maybe dialing down his three-point volume. He's 8, 7, 7, 8. He's been a little bit high. Maybe he dials that back to 4 or 5. but attacks a little bit more.
Right.
But again, I haven't seen the burst or the explosion. I haven't seen him really be forceful and strong with anything yet. So I like the matchup. I'm not going to love it, but I would like to see Damian Lillard get a little bit on track tonight. And this is kind of where I think I'm going to fall. Where are you going with the love it tonight?
I almost kind of want to pivot because you're going to hate this, but my love it was the matchup with David John.
No, I mean, go for it. I mean, I love to see the matchup.
I don't really have much to add to what you did. I mean, I noticed that the Ja Dame thing is very similar to Chris and Dame. And, you know, if he's going to have a breakout game, because I thought they would win the Clipper game. I told you that multiple times. I think I said it on the
We
pod.
both absolutely airmailed the last two games. I had the Phoenix game, you had the Clippers game.
Oh, man. But if you're going to break out of something, you know, maybe he is hurt and this is going to last for a couple weeks. There's that possibility. But if he's being honest and it's just I'm making the right decisions, I'm missing my shots. Tonight's a game that you bring that game to, right? Like that's the one you pack it in the lunchbox and you say, no. It's Dame time. We're getting this going. And you know that Ja's going to come here and try to drop 35 on your head while proving a point that, hey, the baby Grizzlies are here and they're no longer to be
take
played
that ball
with.
from the old guy. Hey, this is my ball now.
Yeah, and I think in past years, Dame has been in that spot with CP3, and CP3 has largely taken the ball and said, no, you ain't ready yet, right? Yeah. And I think this is one of those games. Again, I think it's big for their mental fortitude, but I think this is big for Dame, and I don't think Dame wants to fall to 1-3 and have a bad game. Like, this dude cares about his reputation. This dude cares how he's viewed. He doesn't want to have this kind of start. I think tonight, I love the matchup. I know you like it. I love it because I think if Dame has the ability and he's not hurt, then this is what's going to bring out that dog, that Damian Lillard dog.
I don't disagree. I would love to be proved wrong, and I'm just looking way too much into this, but I've watched every one of those games back a couple times now, and he doesn't look right.
I know. I don't disagree with you. I'm just hoping that he's keeping at his word.
Yeah. Listen, and Dame has lied through his teeth about this before. No, everything's fine. You know, he comes back and, I've been playing through plantar fasciitis and a torn ligament in my finger. And you're like, yeah, no kidding. Or my favorite one was, I'm not tired right after he had his first kid. And you could like, every person who's ever been around any baby ever is like, liar.
Brother, you got 2 hours of sleep. Stop lying.
We can all see it, buddy. It's okay.
Man.
You're not the only NBA player who's ever gone through a childbirth. Like
she pushed the baby out, bro. We get that you're going to be helping a lot now because you just stood there.
There's only so many nannies that can cover 24/7, man. That's right. That's just how it goes. My love it is I'm petty, and I want to have a bigger Nassir bump than Richmond got. That's what I'm going for. My love it is Nassir Little tonight. I want to.
So petty. You're so goddamn petty.
But and the reason is not
I can't believe that's the direction you went with this. Mike interviewed him first. He had a great game. I interviewed him. He's gonna have a better game.
That's entirely a joke, but also there's like a 1% truth to that. But in talking to Nas, one of the things I asked him was, how different is it for you to bring the energy off the bench for bringing as a starter? He goes, listen, man, and now that I know my role off the bench, I can pick and choose. I know, okay, hey, when I get out there, this guy's cooking. I got to make sure I bump him a little bit. I got to be a little bit physical. I got to off the bench. It's different, man. I got to figure it out. And the last game against the Clippers, it's hard to do that when nobody's really vibing. Because what did Nas do? Nas scored their first 5 points, Brandon.
Yeah.
He knocked down the three. He gets the finish at the rim, and you're like, okay, Nas is bringing it, but nobody else did. And he couldn't pick everybody up and lift them up. He's not there yet.
He's not ready for that.
No.
That's a different level. Man.
And that's what you and I were talking about when we talked about Snell maybe moving into the starting lineup if he was ready to go and Nas with the bench, because Nas can pick the bench unit up because he knows he's got reinforcements of the starters behind him. I don't know if he's quite there yet as far as getting it. And I think this is an opportunity for him because you know for a fact that Memphis Grizzlies team, because they're all young, because they're all run and jump guys, they're going to bring it.
So, okay, it's a slight pushback to that. I can't disagree with the bench role that Nas had going into the season and what we saw. It was great. The reason I liked him in the starting lineup, more so than a Snell or a McCollum or whoever, was because I disagree with your assessment there. I actually think the bench unit doesn't need to be lifted. You've got Ant, you've got Larry, you've got Cody. These are guys who are going to play hard, and they're playing for different reasons, right? Like Cody's going to be a consistent role guy.
He's your consummate professional.
Consummate professional. Larry is I'm going to do everything and use my athleticism. And Ant is like, I want to get mother bleeping paid.
Yeah.
Nas being in the starting lineup, I kind of liked because Dame has been a little off, right? CJ was bound to have a slight drop from where he was because he was such high play. You're filling in for Norm, and Rocco's been awful, and Nurkic has been awful. I think if there's a group to be picked up or helped, bring that energy to the starting lineup and make those guys feel like, damn, this young dude is balling right now. Like, let's go. I feel like he's good either way, but I think right now, early, he's better suited in that lineup because there's an element of running this back that has to weigh on those guys too, right? Like they can
to spice it up, to change it up a little bit.
They can feel the internal pressure. They can hear the noise. Like everybody's been trading CJ for 5 years now. Nurkic is no longer the Bosnian beast that we love. Like there's a lot to that. And I think it's nice to mix it up and you bring in the young pup who's ready to go and he's bringing that juice.
And he's accepting that he's not going to get the usage. That's one of the things he's talking about.
They need that. Yeah, I think this team needs that.
I don't disagree with what they need. I don't know if he's ready to have that full responsibility yet.
No, I don't think. I'm just saying, like, his energy can lift. That's how he lifts people up, is the energy and the effort.
100%. And I hope he does. As much as I love Ant, Nas is a pretty close second. Like, I had him as, the day or a week after we drafted him here in Portland. He came on the show in the offseason, and you couldn't help but pull for the guy. You just like, okay, no, this is going to be fun. And he's had such a crappy 18 months off the floor that you're like, okay, can this guy get a break? And guess what? He's getting a break. He's getting that next man up. And I think that the energy is going to be palpable in there tonight. I was coin toss about going tonight. Logistically, I couldn't figure out how we were going to do the show quite yet. And the knee is still a little dicey. It's a lot of stairs. It's a lot of stairs for the big man on toothpick legs. So we'll have to figure it out over the next couple of days. I think they go out on the road trip and then they come back, and I think that's when I might try to go.
You're going to have to let me know. I don't know if I'm going for a while, brother.
We'll figure it out. But over-under tonight I saw was at 234. Portland was favored. Last check by 3.
Is that the local app that you have that line?
The local app had it at 2.5 for Portland, over under at 234, and Portland was favored.
I'm gonna do everybody a favor here. Last time I picked Portland, they lost by 30. I'll take the Grizzlies plus 2.5, but I'm betting the over because neither of these teams play great defense.
So I have set a firm line of never take over on 230. I'm going to take the over tonight, even though I said take the over last time, because neither one of these teams has played a lick of defense.
3 games in, you've abandoned your principles. You're like, nah.
The Grizzlies should be better than they have been defensively, because
I agree with you.
It doesn't make any sense. Jaren has the kind of profile that heads on a trajectory for Defensive Player of the Year. Ja navigates screens incredibly well. Bane and Melton are good defenders. Adams is a solid team defender. Like, they should be better defensively, but they've been shredded. So is it who they've played? Is it how they're playing? Are they not locked in? Does Taylor Jenkins' scheme not good? Like, all of those, I don't care. I know that both these teams can score like crazy. Portland has had the sloppiest game in franchise history, or not in franchise history, but in modern history for the franchise. 30 effing turnovers.
Boy, that's something. I'll say this. I know we're going to wrap here, but that is absolutely what I've circled tonight is, can we keep the turnovers under 20?
Play a clean floor game.
I mean, come on. Can we keep it under 20? Is that too much to ask for this team?
And that's what when I said they've played with the fastest pace, there's got to be an intersection there where you're like, okay, we got to dial the pace back a little bit to take care of the ball. So I'm taking the over. You're taking the Grizzlies and the points. We'll check back in the post game. Thank you all.
By the way, I'm taking the over too, just for the record. Like, you're not solo stealing the over here.
Okay, Mr. Parlay, my bad.
Who's gonna win though? Who are you picking? 2.5. Where would you go?
Grizzlies cover that. Grizzlies cover that.
They're a good team.
They're
man.
really good. Everybody
good
said I was
team.
crazy when I said they're going to be a top 6 team, and
I didn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's crazy.
they're good, man.
They're
really freaking good.
They're what ESPN and Vegas wishes the Pelicans were.
Yeah, that's accurate because they keep gassing up Zion. And it's like, guys, Jaw's the one.
Jaw's healthier.
And it matters. Thank you guys. If you're still sitting here watching, if you're watching the replay, if you haven't already subscribed, the goal right now, we're trying to get to 2,000 by Thanksgiving. That is the goal. I've done the math. I've looked at it. We are on just short of pace of hitting 2,000 by Thanksgiving. It has been tremendous growth to start the season. Thank you, guys. We couldn't do this without you. Follow us here on YouTube. Like, rate, review, subscribe. If you're feeling out of the kindness of your hearts, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It does help us. It elevates us in the podcast rankings. You guys have done a tremendous job. I think there was like 40 reviews or something like that has been left already, which is...
Thanks a ton, guys. We appreciate it.
I showed Sprague the numbers this morning, and we are growing at a rapid pace, and that's all because of you guys. So thank you. If this is your first time here, thank you for hanging out. If this is your return here, thank you for coming back. Please, we will continue to do these, including tonight. We'll have you for the post-game show immediately following the game. Sprague will not run away and leave this time. You will not have to deal with me by myself. And until the post-game show, thank you all, guys. We will catch up with you in about 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours.
I would say 3.5 hours. Yeah.
I was trying to just bring him back in. Bring him back in. Sprague, why not? But yeah, for Brandon, I'm Danny. We'll